it's Yaz from Yorkshire Peaches Therapies, and welcome back to another episode of Hop, Skip and a Jump. Today I'm joined by James from Wolf Canine Training. Now, I first met James at Impact Working Dog Conference and immediately was engaged by the fact he works with reactive German Shepherds. He wanted to know how he could utilise the Fatizo in the work that he does, and that he suspected that a lot of these German Shepherds were in pain. I was like, how on earth have you not dropped onto my radar a lot sooner? So I'm going to stop talking. Let's jump into that conversation. James, thank you so much for joining me today. I
Right.
have been absolutely buzzing to have this conversation with you. But before I jump into that bit,
Yeah.
please tell me a little bit more about you, your business, and how you ended up working with dogs.
Okay. So I was in the police for 15 years. I in that time I wanted to be a dog handler, but I never quite managed to do it. But I started puppy walking instead. So I did that for about 8 years. Had various different dogs, shepherds, Malinois, over the years, and I kind of always wanted my dogs to pass. So I decided to kind of learn the basics of operational training, bite work, tracking, and obedience stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of developed from there. And then when I started talking to more people in the industry about how shepherds getting a bit of a bum deal when it comes to people giving up on them and rehoming them. And there was a massive wave of Malinois being quite popular because of COVID and
Yeah.
the film Dog with Channing Tatum and John Wick. The dogs became quite famous,
Mm-hmm.
but people realised they couldn't handle them and they all ended up in dogs' homes. So I decided that I wanted to kind of do something about that. So I opened up my business, which is called Wolf Canine, and it was to specialise in shepherd breeds to kind of help people stop putting them in dogs' homes.
Yeah.
I did some volunteering at Birmingham Dogs Home for a short period of time, and a large percentage of their population are German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois.
Right. Okay.
Um, and it just kind of broke my heart, really. So I thought I'll do it. I've had many Shepherds of my own. I've had a lot of them were kind of workers from puppy walking, and then I've had a couple of retired police dogs. And I helped my ex look after her retired military working dog.
Mm-hmm.
I've got two of my own, which are currently hopefully going to stay silent on the bed behind me. Is a Malinois and a Chinese red, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, and it developed from there really, and then it's been going for about 2 years. But that's kind of how I got into the industry. I've always been a big dog fan, but as growing up, my parents never let me have a dog, and the first time I kind of moved out, I decided that's the first thing I'm going to
Yeah,
get.
I'll show you. Watch this.
Yeah, yeah, and I got a collie Staffy Cross called JJ, and he kind of melted my heart. But he passed away a couple of years back. He was about 15 years old, so he had a good innings and all that. But yeah, so that's how I kind of ventured into it. The business itself, like I said, specialises in shepherd breeds.
Mm-hmm.
I do take other breeds, but shepherds are my thing,
Yeah.
and I use positive reinforcement training techniques to help people
Mm-hmm.
train their dogs. I started off with obedience, but it's lent towards behaviour.
Yeah.
So 90% of my clients, I lie. 99% of my clients, I've only got one obedience client. 99% of my clients are all behaviour issues,
Right.
reactivity issues, stuff like that.
It's so interesting to see how different people in this industry kind of segued into their career. And I think,
Yeah,
did you say you've been going for 2 years with your own business?
yeah. 8 years with puppy, about 8 years puppy walking. There was a big break in between, and
Mm-hmm.
then 2 years doing the business.
And to find your niche with the shepherds at the
Yeah,
2 year mark with your
yeah,
business, or even like when you first opened your doors, is
yeah,
incredible. That's one of the kind of things that I discuss, especially with like the business owners, is find your niche, find what makes your
yeah,
heart sing.
yeah,
And it's interesting as well that you picked up on the fact that COVID and a film had such a massive impact on the amount of shepherds and mals that ended up in dog homes, because
yeah,
working machines for the most part.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that, well, with COVID it kind of just absolutely fucked everything. Like, I have a lot of young dogs that come to see me for pain management because of the breeding that occurred in COVID. So you
yeah,
have that, and then you add on to the fact that this breed was made popular, and
yeah.
then they're ending up in pet homes. I wondered, do you think that shepherds or mals should be in pet homes?
I think they, given the right people and the right temperament, they can make brilliant family dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I know many shepherds, Malinois, that are great family dogs.
Yeah.
Um, but it takes the right type of commitment to handle them, especially Malinois. I mean, don't get me wrong, German shepherds can be a handful, but Malinois are on a different level. And if you can't give that dog
The
the right
outlet.
time and the outlet, yeah, they can be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Especially in a puppy stage, which
Yeah.
is where a lot of people give up on them is at puppy stage, because they don't come wrapped, trained the way that when you see them lumping over a 30-foot wall or doing somersaults or walking across ladders, they don't come out that way.
No.
It takes a lot of training. But they can make great. I mean, I've had dogs in family environments, and they can do, but they just need the right level of commitment.
Yeah, it's all dogs should be a full-time commitment, but taking on a
Absolutely.
mal is obviously going to present different challenges than taking on a
Yes.
chihuahua.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Less a toy
very
breed.
they're very sensitive dogs. They're very, I mean, they are one-person dogs. They'll take to one person in the family and accept everybody else. But they are very sensitive, and they are like a second shadow. You can't poo in peace when you've got a Malinois. Let's be honest.
I mean, with any dog, do we ever
Yeah,
get to go for a shit in
yeah,
peace?
you can't go for a poo in
No,
peace.
not with mine. But I know that
Yeah,
I've got a couple of mals that come to see me, both in pet homes. But I say pet homes, but both. So one lives with a lady who is a university lecturer in animal behaviour. So she's obviously got extensive experience with training, and then the other mal, he lives with a dog trainer. So I think they're suited to people who are switched on to these dogs. So I know my lifestyle would not suit a
yeah,
Malinois. It just wouldn't. But I love them. I love German Shepherds. Old school like German Shepherds, long hair German Shepherds.
yeah,
Those are like I'd love one, but alas, it just doesn't fit with my lifestyle. And I think we have to be honest about that as well. Like, I've got 3 toy breeds because that's what fits with my lifestyle. Like, I
yeah.
love Dobermans and German Shepherds and working line Black Labs. Like, I love them, but I do not have the lifestyle
Yeah, and
that
I
suit
think
them.
a lot of people forget that they impulse buy, and they love the idea of having one until it's there,
Yeah.
and then when half their property's in the back garden because they took their eye off the Malamar for 5 minutes, then suddenly it's a problem.
Yeah.
And they give up. And I did a post on my business not too long ago about stop impulse buying dogs. It has an impact when you rehome them. They don't understand the change. They don't understand what's going on. They're just being a dog.
Yeah.
Any dog, not just Malinois, any dog, you commit to that dog, and you should, and you should stick with it, not just kind of give up at the first hurdle.
Spaniels as well. I find that people get spaniels like working line like cockers, and
Yeah,
then they're absolutely mental,
yeah,
and then they end up going into rescue, or
yeah,
if they don't end up in rescue, the compression of the behaviour or like those needs not being met can lead to bites in the home. But that's not to say if you do not exercise your German Shepherd or your Malinois, they're going to bite someone. That's absolutely not the case. Any dog has the potential to bite.
absolutely.
Any dog has the potential to bite. But especially with what I would consider high drive dogs.
Yeah,
Like, if you don't give them the correct outlets, that behaviour's got to come out somewhere. That's not a guarantee that they're not going to bite. But like that destructive behaviour you were talking about with the sofa, and then can that then lead on to resource guarding and stuff. So with your business, what would you say is the biggest kind of behavioural issue that you're coming into contact with?
just simple reactivity.
Okay, so is it
Mainly
human
towards
or dogs? Right. Okay.
dogs, other
And
dog reactivity. Yeah.
And what do you have like a hypothesis as to why that is with the shepherds or?
The thing with shepherds is they're not. I mean, they're very prey driven. I mean, most dogs are prey driven, but obviously, every dog has got its different capabilities. And Malinois and shepherds are very prey driven. But the main problem, the 2 main problems, is pain and discomfort. So shepherds, obviously, inherent issues with hips, etc. And I've had a couple of clients recently when I'm looking at the back of the legs, I'm like, your dog's not walking right. Your dog's knocking the feet off the floor. They've gone away, come back, and the dog's got hip dysplasia. So, and I've had another client where the dog was wired every day, was wired. One day we were working with it, and she touched his collar, and he went absolutely skits. So I thought that maybe as a puppy he'd been dragged around.
Yeah.
However, it turned out that the collar was putting pressure on his ears, and when I told him to go and check his ears out, he had a massive ear infection, which he had for years. So it was causing him to. The reason why he was so aggravated was not only was the collar causing him pressure on his ears, but the wind going down his ears was causing pressure on his ears.
Oh.
And the second is people, humans. Humans contribute to reactivity issues in dogs just because of lack of socialization, lack of training, bad breeding.
Yeah, bad breeding's is a massive issue. That's something that I
Yeah,
see across the board. Again, COVID, we had a lot of dogs that were being bred. But so when we first met, it was so we met at Impact Working Dog Conference.
that's
It's
right. Yeah,
the first time that I've ever attended that conference. I wasn't sure what to expect just because I sit very much in pet world, and I was like, I'll go see what the crack is. And I remember we were packing up, so obviously I was there with Fatiza, and we
yeah,
were packing up the bits, and you were having a look at the research paper, and I was
yeah,
like, oh, do you want to have a chat about it? And then we just kind of got talking, and
yeah,
then we ended up sitting down, and then you were telling me about how you use positive reinforcement, and it was when you said something about like pain. I was like, excuse me, where have you been? Why have you not been on my podcast? Hello? Like, how have I not found you?
yeah,
Because we cannot underestimate the power and the influence that a dog trainer or a dog behaviorist has on that dog's whole life. It's not just about the training, it's not just about the obedience, it's looking, I call it whole body systems.
yeah,
So you're acknowledging something's not right and
yeah,
referring them to the vets.
yeah,
Those are the trainers that I want to be working with, because 80%, so research shows 80% of changes in behaviour can be attributed back to pain.
yeah,
And you had two perfect examples of
yeah,
that. And with the shepherds, hips is it's a big humdinger.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
massive with the
yeah.
shepherds.
I kind of, you know, I mean, you've obviously got genetics play a big part in reactivity as well, because
Of
they
course.
do pick up things from mom and dad. But for me, like, I don't, I'm not a fan of humanizing dogs in any
Mm-hmm.
sense or form, but we do share a lot of behavioral issues and reasons for those behavioral issues and pain. Even to simple things, if you have a headache or a migraine, you're more likely to be agitated at people. And dogs are no different. The only difference between us and them is dogs don't understand why they're reacting. They're just reacting.
Mm-hmm.
As in, we've got a better understanding of reason why we're reacting because we're uncomfortable or we're not
Mm-hmm.
feeling very well. So I kind of came to see you guys, and then because I noticed a few of my clients' dogs were walking a bit funny, and I decided, do you know what? I'm going to use the heat therapy as a
Mm-hmm.
way to treat the dogs, but not just dogs with injuries, but dogs without. So when I think of training, when we're doing sit stays, down stays, the dog's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? And if we think about when we're doing that, we have sore muscles, especially when we've been to the gym or you've gone for a run.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I was going to use that kind of machine to, at the end of every one of so the dogs that have got injuries,
Mm-hmm.
dysplasia,
Mm-hmm.
I would use it before and after, and dogs that don't have injuries, I'd use it after, just like with the healing when the head's constantly up like that. Like your dog does, no one's supposed to be up like that all the time. So
No.
I was going to use it as a way to prevent and kind of help my dogs
Mm-hmm.
with their issues, and try and kind of help them solve their reactivity problems, especially when they've got pain.
Well, it's very much a holistic approach. So
Yeah,
you're going, right, okay, this is what I can do in my remit, and the Fatiza is something that can and does slot into your remit. The
yeah,
whole
yeah,
point of
absolutely.
it is that it's pre-programmed, it's designed for, we've done all the dosing for you. There's just some guidelines on how to use it. But if
Yeah,
you're spotting that a dog is uncomfortable and you have the knowledge to respond to behavioural cues, and a dog sort of recognise when I'm not too sure about that, and you just back off with it, and then
yeah,
or slowly desensitizing them and moving it
absolutely. Yeah,
closer, is absolutely phenomenal, because unfortunately the landscape of dog training is so varied to the point where a lot, I dare say the majority, are not recognising pain. They see the behavioural issue as 2D. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah, they
Yeah.
see it as very 2D. They're not going, well, what's happening behind there? So, like the dog that had the collar touched and it went absolutely crazy. Well, actually, why? It's understanding the root cause of that behaviour. Now, I don't
Absolutely.
profess to be a trainer or a behaviourist, but what I am passionate about talking about is pain behaviour.
Yeah.
So if a behaviour, if some, if a customer says to me, my dog's really, resource guarding. So I'll go, okay, so this is what resource guarding can look like. And if your dog is painful and say they've had to lean down to get to said item, so that could be the food bowl, for example. If they've had to lean down, they've had to push through pain. When you push through pain, the value of the item goes up. So when, the other dog or a hand goes to move the bowl or someone walks past, is there any wonder that resource guarding has started? It's
Yeah.
not my place to, so I can identify that I think that could be resource guarding. This is what it looks like from a pain perspective, but I'm
Yeah.
going to recommend you go and work with so and so to work from a behavioural and training aspect.
Yeah.
And I think it's about staying in your lane, knowing what you can and can't do. So then,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, dogs are very stoic. So,
mm,
you know, there are some dogs that won't display any pain.
yeah,
They'll just react. So my ex's dog Heiko, he was a military working dog. So he'd served time, and he had some back issues. And when she wanted to get him MRI'd, they were like, no, 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 it's not needed. And she was like, no, I want it done. And they were doing all the pressure tests, and he just stood there. And then when they MRI'd him and they came out, the first thing they did was apologise because they were like, the amount of pain he's in, he should have been ripping our faces off. But he just stood there and took it and that's the thing with dogs, it's very easy to misread a body cue or misread something because you've not seen it or it's been that minute or they just haven't displayed it. And when they do display it, it's in the form of a reactivity,
yeah,
which is what was going on with Obi,
mm-hmm,
which is a dog with a ear infection.
mm-hmm,
It took us weeks to realise that's what was going on.
yeah,
Purely on that off chance that she touched his collar wrong and he went absolutely
he
schizo.
was like, I've had enough. Yeah,
Yeah, and then when I thought maybe there's some collar issues, then she tried to do it again, and that's when I thought, hang on, this is a bit more than being dragged around. And then it was when they went and look in his ears. Yeah, he had a massive ear infection, but he'd had it for a long time
yeah,
because everyone kept giving up on him because he was highly reactive. And people don't see past that. A lot of people don't see past that.
yeah. And I think that's where I've positioned myself as a therapist, is that I will work with the dogs that, I don't like the word difficult. I don't like that. You Extra considerations have to be made around handling.
Yeah,
They're not difficult. They're communicating, and if those warning signs have been ignored for long enough, well, they're gonna just up the ante, aren't they? So I've
yeah,
got dogs that come in that I like. I'll never be able to look them in the eye, but that's fine. I want to be just pretty neutral. For the most part, we end up forming like a really lovely relationship, but that takes time to build. That takes so much
absolutely,
time, and they have to be
absolutely.
able to opt in and out of treatment. For
Yeah,
me, that's really important to help give dogs agency back, because in so many aspects in life, they have lost agency because we have to keep them safe. So they have to be on a lead in a public place because otherwise they could run into traffic. They're the only domesticated animal where we choose when they go to the toilet. So
yeah.
if there's other areas in their life where we can allow choice, then that inherently, I feel, is going to help secure and build that bond and that trust. What are your thoughts on that, James?
Absolutely. Like I'm a big fan of engagement and with dogs. I think giving them the right choice to make is what positive reinforcement's all about.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving them the opportunity to make a choice
Mm-hmm.
and we get rewarded for that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Working, people don't work on they forget about thresholds. They forget about, sometimes when they think their dog's okay, the dog's actually overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
and your dog's trigger stacking.
Yeah.
And they don't take any of that into account. So you'll see people out and about, and their dog will be under a table at a coffee, so we'll say a coffee shop, and the dog's sat underneath the table, like just not doing anything, and people think he's okay. And then somebody go, "Oh, your dog's really cute," but the hand out, the dog snaps.
Yeah.
And for me, your dog's overwhelmed. If you take your dog out and your dog's not engaging with you when you're walking through a city, your dog's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Not doing very well. Which is why I'm so heavy on engagement-based training. I'm so heavy about your dog engaging inwards, not outwards. So for me, I always tell my clients is that, I'm a big believer in the pack mentality in the sense of family and community, as opposed to alpha and beta. I'm not a fan of that.
Right, I was like that. Oh, what are you going to say?
No. What I mean by that is, as removed dogs are from wild, they're still inherently pack-based. And people, humans, family dogs, that's their pack. They can get everything they need from within that pack environment. They don't need to be running up to strangers' dogs. Because for me, if you think about when humans children, for instance, when they're running around being a nuisance, they're antisocial. But when a dog does it, it's social. I'm the complete opposite. For me,
that's so interesting. You're so right. Because
a sociable dog is a dog that doesn't listen, doesn't pay attention to other people, doesn't pay attention to other dogs. Actually, he's enjoying being a part of his pack. And when I say to my clients who do talk about, what if I want my dog to play with another dog? I'm like, well, then find a friend.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to form part of his pack structure. And then, because what happens is that one day you let your dog play with another dog, stranger dog that you've never met before. The next day he sees a random dog, but you decide you don't want to let him play. He doesn't understand the difference between the first day and the second day. Then he starts lunging on his lead, starts to get frustrated. That frustration forms into aggression. So for me, it's about that inward engagement that, actually you want your dog to look at that dog over there and go, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm going to look back at you, Dad, and you're going to reward me for doing that.
Yeah.
And that dog then becomes completely socially sound.
Yeah.
Because not interested in anything other than you and everybody within its pack structure. And that, for me, that's my belief. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of trainers that will disagree with me, but I think a dog that goes running around is antisocial.
Yeah, no,
it remains focused on its owner and happy just to play with its owner around a million dogs is a sociable dog.
What was the phrase you used? Socially sound dog. That's amazing because, I 100% agree with you. So with my 3 dogs, I would say they maybe have 3 friends.
Yeah,
they are not. I don't allow interaction with dogs that I don't know because mine are 3 little sets of thugs and it has to be like the introductions have to be corrected, but they don't need mates. They've got each other and
that's
it's
all they
only
need.
this is a conversation I have with customers, especially because a huge proportion, I'd say like 98% of the dogs that come to see me are reactive. That could be reactive to humans, reactive to dogs, or both, or traffic, or whatever. And sometimes people can feel that, they're not providing enough for their dog because they can't go to the doggy daycare centre or they can't play in the park. And I'm like, well, actually, that's not realistic. Like, it's not that.
It's a human thing. We're putting human feelings and human thoughts onto dogs, which is where we shouldn't humanise them. So my dog, Phantom, he's the only thing he's got in his life is me, his sister, a Kong on a rope, and an antler. That's it.
Yeah.
And he has the best time. He will just play with me for ages, training and all sorts of stuff. He sees a dog, he looks at me, gets his Kong.
Yeah.
He's genetically reactive, so he's always going to be reactive because it's in his DNA.
Yeah.
It's giving him an outlet, and his outlet is his Kong on a rope. And that's it. And that's his world. And he's happy as Larry. It's us pushing our perception of what a dog needs when actually they are. If you look at every other animal that lives in a social environment, a herd, a pride, a pack, they operate within that. You don't see Mr. Lion going over to the next pride for a coffee because he's going to get his face ripped off.
Yeah.
And And if you look at street dogs in Spain or all over the other cities, they form packs.
Yeah, they have like they travel
In
in
their own
groups. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they exist and they survive without humans, and that,
Hmm.
and I think we forget that actually we form part of their pack. I mean, you see people walking their dogs and they're on the phone, or the dogs running around being an absolute nightmare.
Hmm.
Um, it's like you're not providing your dog with what it's needs.
Yeah.
You're not exciting enough for that dog
Hmm.
to want to pay attention to you because you're not paying attention to him, or you're just lazy walking.
Yeah.
And I just think people need to learn more about dog behavior. You know, I, you get a lot of people, not everybody. Some people are brilliant. There's a lot of brilliant dog owners out there. There are some that'll have dogs all their life, and they think they know dogs.
Yeah.
I've had a car since I was 20. I know nothing about car engines. Right? It's reading dogs' behaviors. Certain things, and they go, "Oh, look at him. He's doing this." And you think he's scared. He's not happy. He's
Yeah.
scared. You're thinking he's happy because I don't know, because he's lifted his front paw up and he's displaying his chest. Actually, he's telling you that he's not happy.
Yeah, yeah. He's saying I'm
Yeah,
uncomfortable. Very.
exactly. Yeah, and I think people just need to do better. And I'm very me as a person. When it comes to irresponsible dog owners, I am very reactive. And
So am I. I have no
some of my
chill.
clients have seen it firsthand, and I'll give a prime example. And it's the age old. My dog is friendly,
Oh,
right? And where I was, as we know, as part of dog training, when you're doing reactivity dog training, you have to at some point go into the public because you need to test the dog.
hmm.
And I was in a Coventry Memorial Park, massive park, and I could see a dog running around. And I said to my clients, "Let's move him back a little bit." And I saw the dog walking towards me, and I said to the owner, "Could you put your dog on a lead, please?" And recall your dog. Can you recall your dog, please? And his response to that was, "Why?" And
What?
I'm like, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Why? Just
Mm,
put your dog on the lead.
mm.
And why? Just please, this dog's reactive. Well, mine's friendly. And I'm
That
like,
doesn't give you the right.
I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care if your dog's friendly. Yeah. And he got quite offended when I called him irresponsible. And I said, but your dog's still running around.
Mm.
It's like but from my mouth saying, could you put your dog on a lead? Halfway to his ears, it transfers to, can you murder your dog in a horrific way for me? And it blows my mind why people can't put their dogs on a lead for 10 seconds, especially if your dog's got no manners.
Yeah.
Put your dog on a lead for 10 seconds, or
Mm.
just kind of be kind, because you don't understand the impact you're having on the other dog.
Hmm.
Because that type of behavior, a dog can go from being friendly to being reactive
Yeah.
very quickly.
Like
And people
you can't like blame the dog. Like if the
not
dog's
at all.
come bounding over and they say they've got like a bad back or a bad hip, and the dog's jumped on him and that's hurt, they have every right to be like, get away from me, and then that then becomes an issue. Like you can't, but it's not just a case of like reactivity. It's I'm thinking from like an injury perspective. So I had a dog. This was years ago. He just had TPLO, so he just had reconstructive surgery on his knee, and his mum had been doing the rehab really carefully. And she was like, "Do you think he's ready to go out?" And I was like, "Keep it on lead, keep it quiet." I was like, "Nice sniffy walk." I said he can go for a poodle. So he went for a poodle. It was all going really well, and then out of nowhere, a dog came bounding over, jumped on him, and his other cruise ship went.
And this is
I'm like, you have no idea. That's cost thousands. That's going to cost thousands to fix. But also, that dog's reactivity.
It's going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
And then it's this kind of not accepting responsibility. It's sometimes they won't even, they'll grab the dog and walk off, or they'll blame you. Your dog's reactive. You shouldn't be out. And it's like you're in the wrong. No matter what you say, you're in the wrong. And I've had some great interactions with people when they've seen me, because along with the kind of that, I'm a big believer that unless your dog's got 110% recall, it should never be off a lead. And for me, it's that, my dog's, because I know he'll turn on his heels for his Kong. As soon as I see somebody, no matter how far away they are, he's back on his lead.
Yeah.
And some people will see you reel your dog in, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, I'll click your dog on," and they'll can I let my dog off? Yeah, that's great, thank you. But unfortunately, it happens too often the other way, and it's like on a weekly occurrence. And you know, like I was talking to you about my stuff about engagement training.
Mhm.
Make sure your dog engages outwards. If everyone trained their dog that way,
Mm.
we wouldn't have reactive dogs. We wouldn't have arguments.
Mm.
But
Because
people
everybody
would,
just respects each other's
yeah,
space.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's people get on their back foot so quickly when
Mm. It's
deep down
because
they
they're
know they're in the wrong.
embarrassed.
Yeah, I think that's what the case is. And
Mm.
don't get me wrong, there's been moments when I've really lost my shit,
Yeah, yeah.
and and I've turned around to my client, forgot my clients there, and gone, I'm so sorry. And most of them go, don't worry, I would have said exactly the same if you weren't
Yeah,
here. So
yeah.
I think I'm just protective over my clients, and I'm protective over what I'm trying to achieve
Mhm.
with my clients and my dogs.
Yeah,
And if somebody's irresponsibility, just because they can't walk in the opposite direction or put their dog on a lead for two
mm.
minutes,
Mm.
if they can't respect that, then for me it's like you shouldn't have a dog if you
Yeah.
can't. If you're not willing to teach your dog manners or actually help other people,
Mhm.
then you shouldn't have a dog.
It's ignorance. I think ignorance is
Massively.
bliss a lot of the time with people. So if they've never had a reactive dog, or they've never had a dog that's painful, it
Yeah,
doesn't even register. Now, I confess, because I confess on this podcast a lot, right? I When I first had a dog, Penny, I was she's friendly, and she was a Chihuahua cross, and she was a little witch for running up to people and barking. I was that person. Then I got a reactive dog and started learning about behaviour and all things like that, and then trained to do what I do now. And I think it's important that people know that I don't sit here on my high horse going, this is the way it should be done. Of course, I've always known that's the case, because I didn't. I got things
yeah,
wrong, right? But now that's why I'm so passionate about advocating to make sure that we are making safer choices. Like, I went to, it was a, oh God, I can't remember where it was. I was with Lily, who I've just retired as my demo dog because she's had enough now. I usually do demos with Fatiza, but she's had enough, so she's done. And I was sat having my lunch, and there was this little girl like staring at Lily, and I was like, are you wanting to pet her? And her mum said she's absolutely terrified of dogs. And I said, well, what I can do, Lily's like 6 kg, so what I can do is I can feed Lily so she doesn't even look at you, and you can give her a little pet if you like. And this girl, she was like shaking, but she did it. And then she went and got a grandma and said, Grandma, look what I can do. She's only about 4 or something. And I said to her mum, I said, that genuinely makes me so sad that she's so frightened of dogs. I said, what do you
yeah,
think caused it? And it was an off-lead dog, big, mastiffy type, that ran over and just bowled her over in a park.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, oh, sorry, just got a text message off a client.
No, you're all right. It's the joys of being a small business.
Yeah,
But listen, you're gonna have to come back because there's so much that I still want to talk about with you.
yeah.
But
Back
for
in the room.
no, you're all right. So for people who want to know more about you, more about your business, the stuff you do with positive reinforcement, where can people find you on socials or on your website?
So website, it's www.wolfcanine.co.uk.
Hmm.
K as and the nine with a number and just K. And the same for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's
Oh,
just
you're
put
on
one.
TikTok as well.
I try to be.
It's hard. It's a fickle beast. Is TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm on all of them, and I do obviously I do specialize in shepherds, but I do take other breeds and stuff. But if anybody just wants to kind of have a chat, that's
And you put
and
out content as well, like educational content, like your
yeah.
posts
So
and
I
stuff.
try to be having an ADHD brain. I have to do things on an individual day. So
Yeah,
Saturdays and Sundays I do educational posts, and then through the week I'll do like client posts and
yeah, yeah.
stuff like that, and just showing what the dogs are doing and how they're performing and stuff,
Mhm.
which is a separate job in itself.
Oh, it's full time job making content. You can't just run a business now. You've got to be a social media superstar as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, James, thank you so much for your time today. I've
Thank
thoroughly
you.
enjoyed this conversation, and I think everyone's going to be able to take away something new from it as well. So, if you have enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Make sure you check out James on his socials. But for now, lots of love to you and your dogs, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care for now. Bye.